Oh, and then Mayra, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen so that the participants can see it.
Okay, let me know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see it. That's great. All right, thank you to everyone who is joining our webinar. So sorry for the delay. We had some unforeseen technical difficulties come up, but I'm I'm kind of one of the hosts for the webinar today. My name is Katya. I'm the events coordinator for Central Valley Scholars, and my pronouns are she, her. This is the Undocumented Student Resources webinar that's going to be hosted by Diana, Mayra, and Yessenia, who can introduce themselves later. But yeah, thank you so much for coming to our webinar. Mayra, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. So just a little bit about our organization for those of you who may not be as familiar with it. We do offer lots of different opportunities for Central Valley community members, things like our workshops, and this case webinars for this summer, and also job opportunities, internships, mentorships, which are going to be starting up in the fall, and all kinds of great programming for you to look out for. So definitely check out our website, centralvalleyscholars.org, and sign up for our newsletter to get the most up-to-date information. Thank you all for being so patient, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to our presenters to start off with the presentation. I'll be back at the end to answer any questions. Feel free to drop them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screens, and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation.
Hi guys, my name is Diana Salinas. I'm a rising sophomore at the University of Southern California. I am majoring in public policy, and I am a dreamer.
All right, hi everyone, I'm Mayra. I am a current PhD student at UC Davis. My emphasis is organization education policy. I am also a dreamer. So I immigrated when I was 6 years old to the United States. I did my undergrad at the University of Pennsylvania, where I majored in biology. I taught high school biology for 2 years and did college access work for a year. And now I'm currently a graduate student at UC Davis.
Hi everyone, my name is Yessenia. I immigrated in 2008 and currently I'm a rising sophomore at Rice University, double majoring in kinesiology and biochemistry and cell biology. I am very happy to be here with all of you.
All right, so we are going to go ahead and just get started with some goals for the presentation. We do appreciate your patience. So one of the things we are going to be covering is just an overview of the application process and the requirements. I know as an undocumented student myself, when I was applying to college, I had a lot of concerns and I had a lot of questions as well. And I didn't feel comfortable reaching out to people about it. So we're just very glad to be here, and hopefully we can answer some of those questions that you may have. Another one of our goals is to learn ways to finance your education as an undocumented student. So we understand that as undocumented students, finances is a big obstacle for pursuing higher education. So hopefully after today, you learn about different ways to finance your education. And third, one of our also goals is to learn about resources available to undocumented students on college campuses. So it's not just enough to get you there, right? It's also important to consider what support services are there for you as an undocumented student to ensure your success.
So we want to start in a little bit about data on undocumented students and higher education. We have a chart here and I'll just go explain it a little bit. So the first number you see is the undocumented students graduate in high school every year in the United States. As you can see, there's 98,000. And in comparison to California, there's 27,000 students who graduate high school per year. The second number we can see is that 5 to 10% of those students pursue higher education, and far less graduate with a college degree, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. It's kind of unfortunate that a little bit of students pursue higher education, but if we compare it to California stats, 10%, nearly 10% of students actually pursue a higher education. And now onto the third number, there is 450,000 undocumented students enrolled in U.S. higher education. Now you may ask, why is this number bigger than the graduates of high school? So when taking into account this number, it's students of every year, freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors, and of every level of degree, which is your bachelor's, your master's, your PhD. In comparison to California, there is 75,000 students that are enrolled in U.S. higher education. And just to kind of put this in perspective, the number of of undocumented students enrolled in U.S. higher education, not only in California, makes up about 2% of all students enrolled in higher education. So we need a little bit more representation, as you can see. And the fourth number is only 1 to 3% of these students graduate from college. And as you can see, that's where the second number where it said far less graduate with a college degree comes into play. Not a lot of students make it out of college with a degree, given all the financial barriers or just other obstacles that arise. And now here we'll go on to some dates that you should save and then you should write down. It is an application timeline that will be on our website. You can screenshot it, you can save it, or you can jot it down in your planner. For community college, the application opens around August 1st. However, you can apply in different dates depending on what your plan is. The deadline also varies given what you choose and when you apply. For the Cal State universities, the application opens October 1st and it closes November 30th. For the University of California, which is the UC system, the application opens August 1st and the deadline is November 30th. And for private colleges, there's a separate application called the Common App, and that one opens August 1st, and the deadline varies given to the institution you apply to. And for financial aid, which we'll be talking about in future slides, the application opens October 1st, and the deadline is March 2nd. However, we do recommend that you submit it as soon as possible to get priority. And my colleague, Mayra, will be talking about it more in the future slides. And other dates you should just keep in mind is the offer of admission. That will be available March through May, and that's where they tell you whether you got accepted or whether you got waitlisted or if you were rejected. The other date is the financial aid letter becomes available between March and May. It gives you an estimate about how much money you will have to pay your courses and other fees. And your intent to enroll normally is due May 1st, but I was looking at Cal State's and they have various deadlines, so always make sure to look at your college's website. And what the intent to enroll is, it's just saying that you're committing to go to that school or you're interested in going to that school. And normally this comes with a deposit to secure your seat. And a couple of points I just want to bring up for private institutions as well is that there's 3 types of decisions. There's regular decision, early decision, and early action. Regular decision is just the deadline I gave you and the date that the application opens. An early decision is typically around November 1st. And what early decision is a decision that is binding. So that makes you have to go to that college if you are accepted. You get notified earlier than regular decisions, but you have to commit going to that university. You can only apply to one college for regular early decision, I apologize, and it's binding. The other one is early action, and this one isn't binding. You get your answer, if you were rejected or if you were accepted way earlier to be able to compare all the financial aid packages you get, and you don't have to commit fully to the university.
All right, thank you so much, Diana, for that. Now we are going to go ahead and transition to paying for college. So I wanted to draw your attention to this website. So this is the actual website that you will be submitting your financial aid application. So this actually replaces the FAFSA. So because we are undocumented students, we do not qualify for federal aid, but we do qualify in California for state financial aid. So this is actually the website that you will go into on October 1st when it goes live. And you have until March 2nd to submit your application. One thing to note about this is that I know it sounds like the DREAM Act that was created in 2001, which was like a path to citizenship. However, this is different. This California DREAM Act is only for financial aid purposes. So that's just something important to know about this. Also, as Diana mentioned, although it is due on March 2nd, we do highly encourage you to submit as soon as possible, just because there might be any outstanding requirements that you may need to submit before you can get your financial aid package from the colleges. All right, so in order to qualify for the financial aid that California provides for undocumented students, you need to be, or you need to prove that you qualify for AB540 status. What that means, so AB540 is pretty much Assembly Bill 540, which is a law that allows colleges and universities in California to consider undocumented students as in-state applicants or in-state for in-state financial aid. So what that means is, as of right now, if you don't qualify for AB540 or you don't submit proof that you're AB540, they will consider you as an out-of-state applicant. And that actually has really big implications for your financial cost of college. At times it can be like a difference of $10,000 to $30,000 if you're applying as an out-of-state applicant. So it's just very important that you do submit what we call an AB540 affidavit. And you can actually see that on the right side. So that's a form that you will have to submit for all the colleges and universities you apply to. And if you don't submit this, then they will pretty much consider you an out-of-state applicant and charge you as an out-of-state applicant. In order to qualify for AB540, you need to have attended a California high school for 3 or more years. You need to, obviously, you will be graduating with a California high school diploma or have a GED. Or you could also use an associate's degree from a California community college to qualify for AB540. Something that's important to note is that, sometimes the schools will reach out to you and say, hey, we noticed you're AB540, we need this form from you. But other times you will actually have to go to the website, download the form and send it in. So just make sure that you're aware that it might be that that the schools don't reach out to you, but it is your responsibility to submit this form in order to be considered in-state, an in-state applicant. All right, so in terms of the types of financial aid available for undocumented students in California, so this is specific to California, we have the California College Promise Grant, and just know that anything with grant in it means that you don't have to pay back. So it's pretty much money that you are given that you don't have to pay back after it's used. So the California College Promise Grant are for students who are currently enrolled or applying to a community college. One of the requirements is for you to maintain a 2.0 GPA or higher, and it pretty much waives the enrollment fees at a community college for an entire year. We also have state financial aid, which are known as Cal Grants, and we have 3 different types. So the Cal Grant A are for students enrolling at a Cal State University, University of California, or a private institution here in California. And one of the requirements is for you to have a 3.0 or higher when you are applying for this grant. And this is just a first year requirement. The GPA can change after you've been enrolled at a college for the Cal Grant A. So in terms of the amount, it does vary by which institution you are attending. So if you're attending a University of California, the Cal Grant A is worth up to $12,570 a year. If you are attending a private institution, they give you $9,084 a year. And if you're attending a Cal State University, they give you up to $5,742 a year. In terms of the second type of Cal Grant, we have Cal Grant B, and those are for students with at least a 2.0, and those are students enrolling at a community college or a Cal State University. And what this grant provides is $1,672 a year for living allowances. So for housing, for books, for transportation. So pretty much anything that you may need to use this money. And what's different about this is money that you get and you're able to spend on whatever you feel like you need to, whereas the Cal Grant actually goes directly to your institution to pay off the tuition. In terms of the third type of Cal Grant, we have Cal Grant C. Those are for students who are enrolled in occupational or technical programs. So not a community college, not a University of California, not a private institution or Cal State. And they receive $1,094 a year. All right, another type of grant that is available for undocumented students is the Chaffey grant for foster youth. In terms of the requirements, you should be or were in foster care between the ages of 16 and 18 and are considered a dependent or ward of the court and have financial need. This type of grant actually gives you $5,000 a year for career and technical training, or if you decide to enroll in a college or university. The other type of financial aid available is work study. However, something that is important to note about work study is that you do have to have Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival status, so DACA status. So what that means is that you're able to legally work here in the country. So how work study works is you pretty much are given a work position or a job by your university to earn up to a certain amount a year to use for your educational expenses. So for example, in my case, I was given work study all 4 years of college, and they only gave me $3,000 a year to work up to. So they do give you a limit, and it just really varies by campus. That's not to say you can't have another job, right, outside of campus, but in terms of work study, they do give you a limit as to how much you can earn a year. The other type of financial aid, it might not seem the best option, right? When we hear loans, it's not something we want to take out, but sometimes it is necessary. But there are loans for dreamers. They're called dream loans, and they are subsidized. And I'll actually explain what subsidized means in a bit. But the why it's really good is because before these dream loans came into play, a lot of students were having a hard time getting loans from banks because they're of their undocumented status. So now these loans are actually provided by the universities. They grant students up to $4,000 a year for a maximum of $20,000 for your entire undergraduate career. And the reason why subsidized is so important is because usually when you take out a loan, you have to pay interest with it. So let's say I take out a $4,000 loan, I may owe like $6,000 at the end because of the interest that builds up over time. However, because these loans are subsidized, that means that the school will actually be paying for your interest while you're enrolled in college. What that means is if you take out $4,000, that's what you are going to owe at the end of your college career. And I know that a lot of schools give students about 6 months after they graduate to actually start paying off the loan. So that's just a really good thing because that means that, you know, you have the possibility of just paying what you actually took out and not more than that. And then the final financial aid available are scholarships, which Yessenia will go more into detail. But something that's important about scholarships is that they do sometimes have specific requirements. They can be for undocumented students in general. They can be for specifically for Ab540 students, which means, you know, students from California, or they could be as specific as wanting you to have DACA. So just make sure that when you are looking at scholarships, you are really understanding the requirements that, you know, they have for students. And the amount varies. I would highly, highly encourage you to look at local scholarships. A lot of times companies around your area where you live will have scholarships for students, and sometimes, you know, that's great. I know that with me, I ended up I think getting like $2,500 my first year because of scholarships that were local. All right, so just to walk you through an example of a financial aid package for undocumented students at various institutions, and we do apologize because it is a little blurry, but this is an example for an undocumented student at a community college. So as you can see here, this student for this year, they have a California College Promise Grant. They have the Cal Grant B. They have an EOP&S grant, which we'll talk a little bit later, which is just a program at the community college. They have a Promise Grant. They have a BC Current Promise Grant, Completion Grant, and they have an EOPS Book Award. So a lot of these are actually specific to the institution. So another type of aid that's available that's not, you know, general state financial aid is institutional financial aid. Sometimes the institutions will actually give you grants that are specific to their own institution. So for this student, they got a total of $6,475. And all of these grants, they don't have to pay back because they are not loans, right? They're grants that they get to use for their education. Okay, so this is an example for an undocumented student at a California State University. So in this case, this student is in their second year. The reason why I'm saying that is because as you see, they have 2 Cal Grant Bs. If you notice, and if you recall, the $5,742 was actually part of the Cal Grant A, right, that I mentioned. But because they are unable to give you 2 different types of Cal Grants, what they do is in their second year, usually students will get both the Cal Grant A amount, which is a $5,742, plus the Cal Grant B amount, which is the $1,672. So that's just something to note, that sometimes if you only get 1 grant your first year, you may be able to get more money your second year of college. This student also got 2 scholarships. So as we can see there, they were able to apply the scholarship. And I know for this specific student, they were given a scholarship to apply for their DACA. So a lot of institutions will have like financial resources for you to apply for like legal fees if you need to apply for them as well. And this student got a total of $8,909 for that particular school year. All right, this is an example of a University of California or an undocumented student attending a University of California campus. As you can see here, they actually got a grant to purchase health insurance. So that's actually a benefit that I got when I went to college. Back then in 2012, I only had emergency medical as an undocumented individual. So when I went off to college, out of state, they required me to have health insurance, and it was going to be $3,000 a year. And so at that time, obviously, with a single mom working in the fields, we could not afford that. So I actually emailed my campus and say, hey, I understand I need health insurance, but I can't afford it. And what they did is they just gave me a grant to cover that health insurance for me. So as you can see, this student also got a grant to cover their U-ship insurance. They got a DREAM grant as well. And I want to draw your attention to this non-resident exemption AB540. So if this student had not submitted their AB540 affidavit, they would have had to pay $29,000 more because they would have been considered an out-of-state applicant. So again, that's why it's so important for you to submit that AB540 affidavit when you are applying to colleges. They got the Cal Grant A. This student also has DACA because they got a work study. And they were also offered the DREAM loan, but as you can see in the decision, they were undecided about it. But the good thing is that they were offered that financial aid. It's really up to the student and their family to determine whether they need that amount or if they could work in the summer to save up or if they can apply to scholarships. As you can see in the bottom, the student does have a couple of scholarships that they apply to that they are getting for that school year. All right, and lastly, we wanted to walk you through an example of a financial aid package for a student at a private university. So as you can see, the estimated cost of attendance is $77,000. So when you see the sticker price, is obviously a lot of money. It's almost $78,000 a year. However, what I wanted to emphasize is sometimes attending a private university is actually more affordable for undocumented students. The reason being that because usually they have more financial aid, and they're able to offer you state school-specific financial aid that's not related to the government or to federal aid, which we don't qualify for. So I know in my own experience, I was in between either a University of California or a private out-of-state institution. At the end of the day, the private institution cost me double the amount as the University of California, but it was pretty much a full ride for me. They were able to pay most of my education there, and I didn't have to take out any loans. So just know that just because you see the sticker price does not mean that it might be less affordable for you to attend. And that's why it's so important to apply to as many universities as you can and then compare your financial aid packages. In this case, the student got the Cal Grant A for a private institution, which was $9,084, as you can see in the bottom. And they also got a university grant for $63,575 for that year. All right, Yessenia, over to you.
Thank you, Mayra. So first off, after you have been working so hard, you can be rewarded with a scholarship, which is essentially free money that you do not have to pay back. But you may need to meet a few requirements to obtain the money, even after you have been notified that you are the scholarship recipient. And these may include having a certain GPA, additional paperwork, or even possibly attending a conference. So it is imperative that you check your emails constantly and for any updates, and you complete those requirements as soon as possible. The following two slides will include a list of scholarship, DACA, or undocumented students can apply to. I suggest that you make a list, and even if the application period is closed, that you note them down so that you can apply the following year. So I would like to start with the Central Valley Scholars, which offers a recurring $1,000 undocumented scholarship, which opens around February and closes in May. You will have to fill out an application, answer short essay prompts, and students attending high school, college, or a continuation school are eligible to apply. In addition, you can also take advantage of volunteer opportunities and workshops like this webinar, so be on the lookout. Another scholarship for undocumented students is offered by the Golden Door Scholars Organization, which works in collaboration with partner colleges to offer scholarships, which include tuition and room and board for up to 4 years, internship and job search support, and an annual career readiness summit. High school students or anyone who has a GED can apply. The Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities also offers various scholarships, and DACA students can apply. The 2020-2021 scholarship program is currently open, so I recommend that you check out their websites and apply to the scholarships available. There are more than one that are still open. Moving on, the Salvadoran American Leadership and Educational Fund also offers scholarships to undergraduate, graduate, and professional students regardless of their immigration status. Their application closed last month, but mark it down and check out their website and apply to their scholarships next year. In addition to scholarships, SALEF offers free legal services, youth development programs, and academic and educational programs to Salvadorans and other Latinx communities. The California Latino Legislative Caucus Scholarship does not list citizenship as a requirement, and undergraduate and graduate students are eligible to apply including high school seniors with a proof of acceptance into a college. You can apply next year. Please look at their website for key dates. This year, their application opened in mid-March and closed in June, but apply the following year. Last but not least, the United States Leadership Institute offers a Dr. Juan Andrade Jr. Scholarship to high school seniors, college freshmen, college sophomores, and college juniors who are enrolled full-time in an accredited 2-year or 4-year institution. DACA and undocumented students are eligible to apply. Last year, the application opened during the fall, so be in the lookout for this one. Overall, a lot of these organizations offer services beyond scholarships, and it may be worth your time to look at their websites. Next slide, please. Thank you, Mayra. Furthermore, the following is a list of scholarships that you can apply to today. Chicano Organizing and Research in Education Scholarship, Que Llueva Café, is open to high school, GED graduates who will enroll in college for the first time, and it is open to DACA and undocumented students only. The deadline is today, so please complete their application and include one letter of recommendation, your personal statement, and a copy of your high school transcript. The Platt Family Scholarship Prize Essay Contest is also due today, and you do need to write an essay. You have to be enrolled in an American institution, but citizenship is not a requirement. High school students are not eligible to apply, though. The National Hispanic Health Professional Student Scholarship is due on September 25th. You have to be a DACA recipient who is enrolled in a graduate program, including medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, nursing, public health and policy, or a program to become a physician assistant to apply. I want to point out that even if you're not in a graduate program, but are considering attending one in the future, you should write these down. It is never too early to start searching. The Paul and Daisy Soros Fellowship for New Americans is due on October 29th. This fellowship supports 1 or 2 years of graduate study in any field in the US. The award can be up to a total of $90,000 and is open to college graduate students who will are enrolled in a graduate program but have not yet surpassed their 3rd year. You're eligible to apply if you were born abroad or in the US and have graduated from high school and college in the US. Again, even if you have not graduated from college yet and are considering graduate school, note this down and apply when you are eligible. Finally, the 2020 Good Tidings Community Service Scholarship is due on November 6th and is open to high school seniors. This scholarship award is $10,000 to 10 different recipients from different counties in California, some of which are part of the Central Valley, but not all of the counties in the Central Valley are included as counties or students in those counties who can apply. So please go to their website and check that out. And again, please apply and share these opportunities with other individuals who are eligible. Let's help our community succeed. Also, like Mayra mentioned, it is important to apply to local scholarships. So talk to your counselor. They may know if any that are available where you live. I cannot stress enough how important it is to apply to those local scholarships.
All right, thank you so much, Yessenia, for that. We are going to go ahead and transition to institutional support and resources. And at the end of the presentation, we also have more resources on scholarships and websites that you can look into for more scholarships. So in terms of where to apply to school, we do highly encourage you to pretty much explore each school that you want to apply to and look at what kind of resources they offer specifically for undocumented students. So there are schools that are considered undocu-friendly schools, and these institutions provide academic, emotional, and resource-based support for undocumented students. And this can pretty much range from actually having a physical space for undocumented students called Dream Centers, or they can be schools that have strong financial aid packages for undocumented students, or they can have dedicated staff that provide direct support for undocumented students. And I wanted to share this resource with you that I found online, and I can actually share in the chat if I find the chat. Where's the chat? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share this website if it loads. And then you can go ahead and access that on your devices. So what this Excel sheet provides is pretty much a list of colleges that have been identified as undocu-friendly campuses. So it's by state. So, I mean, if you're interested in applying to out of state, you can also explore campuses there. But we're going to go ahead and just focus here now on California for right now. And as you can see, you have your college, you have the location, what type of institution, whether they admit DACA students, whether they admit undocumented students, the contact information if you have questions about, you know, being an undocumented student and applying to this particular campus. They have financial aid and scholarships available for, you know, DACA and undocumented students. They also have information on whether they have a student club dedicated to DACA and undocumented students, and also if they have a center on campus that is specifically for undocumented students. So just make sure that you are checking that out as you are making your decision and building your college list as to where to apply next school year. Or, you know, if you're in community college, where to transfer out, or if you're currently an undergrad student, where you would like to pursue your graduate education. I know for myself specifically, one of the things that UC Davis has is an Ab540 and undocumented center. So, you know, that was something that was a perk to me, right, when I was looking at colleges and where to apply for graduate school. All right, so, oops, sorry, okay, so that was that. And then, okay, now I want to talk a little briefly about on-campus resources. So campus is available for undocumented students once you get to college. So again, this may differ from campus to campus, but some of them are Dream Centers I have already mentioned, and these are safe spaces for undocumented students, dreamers, and allies. There's also the Extended Opportunity Program and Services, or EOPS, and if you remember from the community college student financial aid example, they actually gave the student a grant that was coming from this program. And what this program does is it supports low-income and educationally disadvantaged student success. There are also student equity programs on campuses whose goal is to provide equal educational opportunities and support for students. And then lastly, there can be student organizations on campus that increase, you know, campus awareness of and advocate for undocumented student issues. And just because you don't, you may not have a club or organization on campus does not mean that you cannot create one. A lot of times students do create organizations or clubs that they feel like they want to exist on campus. I know for myself in my undergrad, it was a predominantly white institution, not very, you know, in terms of support for undocumented students. So myself and other undocumented students actually ended up creating our own club. And for us, it was, you know, both public and private. So for students who did not feel comfortable disclosing their status, we respected that. But for those of us that actually did feel comfortable, we were able to advocate for them as undocumented students on campus. So just be aware of that just because a campus doesn't have one does not mean it cannot be created. And I wanted to also share this resource map with you that was actually created by, oops, sorry, let me put that in the chat, by the Campaign for College Opportunity. So I'm going to put that also in the chat for all of you. So what this shows is a map, an interactive map, that you can actually look for these different on-campus resources for undocumented students. So if we zoom in into this map, what we can see is, and this is specific to California, we have little bubbles and stars that differentiate between a University of California campus, California State University campus, and a California community college. So let's say I want to look in the Fresno area. So I will zoom into Fresno, and okay, so let's say I'm interested in looking at Fresno City College. It tells you pretty much, where it's located, what type of center it has for undocumented students. So in this case, they have a Dream Center. They give you the resources website. They give you a contact name if you have questions specifically about undocumented student support resources on campus, and they have a phone number as well as email. So now let's say I want to look at Fresno State. So again, they have an undocumented resource center called the Dream Success Center. They have a website where you can learn more information. They also have a contact name that you can contact if you do have questions about being an undocumented student at Fresno State and what kind of scholarships or financial aid is available to you. So this is just a useful resource for you to start looking into when thinking about which colleges you want to apply to. Okay. All right, so that's that. All right, Yessenia, over to you.
Thank you, Mayra. So in addition to campus resources, there are plenty of organizations and other entities that would love to help and support you. Central Valley Scholars offers different resources, including workshops and the upcoming mentorship program. This program assists first-generation Black and undocumented students with their college application, including FAFSA or the DREAM Act, the UC apps, the Common App, scholarships, financial aid packages, and more. You can either apply to be a Tempee and be partnered with a Tempter who will assist you during this process from the beginning to the end, or apply to be a Tempter and assist other students with their application process. This application is due August 5th, so please check it out and apply. You can go to centralvalleyscholars.org. Under services, you can click online Tempter and learn more about the program and access the application. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always contact Central Valley Scholars, and you can find this information on their website. So next is the dream.us, which offers scholarships, legal resources, and educational resources to undocumented students, including a list of resources from various sites and institutions. The Education and Leadership Foundation offers free remote DACA renewal and naturalization services in English and Spanish, internship opportunities, scholarships, bilingual books, and parent services. Fourth, My Undocumented Life offers up-to-date information to high school, college, and graduate students about each application processes, and lists resources that include scholarships and job opportunities, information about how to cope with changes and navigate higher education, and information about applying and renewing DACA. Immigrants Rising offers legal and mental health support. They provide information about applying for DACA and offer wellness gatherings for undocumented students to connect with one another. They also offer financial aid support to undocumented social entrepreneurs and those applying to law school. In addition, they host educational programs for college and high school students. I want to emphasize that this list is not by no means a comprehensive list of resources for undocumented students. Make sure you check out the Central Valley Scholars website to access the recording of this webinar, as well as to view an article that we will be writing, which summarizes the information that we have presented today and which will include more resources for undocumented students. You can also subscribe to the Central Valley Scholar newsletters, which will include a list of resources for all the people that they serve in the upcoming weeks, and including resources that are specific to undocumented and or DACA students. Please reach out to us if you have any questions.
All right, thank you so much to all of our super awesome hosts. And I'm gonna go ahead and read off the questions in the Q&A box that someone left earlier, and feel free to go back to the slide if the answer is on there or if you think it will be helpful. But someone has asked, by when do we need to turn in the AB540 form? And then any one of you can.
Yeah, so thank you for that question. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to go back to the form. So yeah, that form is usually you have to submit it after you have applied. So like I said, you will either get an email from the university at, kind of telling you like, oh, we see that you're, not only undocumented, but you don't have like legal residency in California. Like we need you to submit this additional form. But it's always usually in the time that after you apply, after you submit your application and before you receive your financial aid package, as well as whether you were admitted or not to that university. So yeah, so you will, it's pretty much since you apply, since you submit your application, between that time and before you get your, when you're admitted to university. So this is just something in addition to your financial aid application that you have to submit for the university. And if you have specific questions about specific campuses, I would look at their website. They might have specific deadlines for the AB540 form, but it's usually before March when you get your financial aid package that they want to see this form.
Awesome. So we have another question here. Someone said, hi there, I'm from Modesto, but I'm currently living in Boston, and I plan on moving back to the Valley before the year ends to go back to school. I was going to Modesto Junior College, but ended up dropping out. Will it be more difficult to reapply now that I am considered a non-traditional student? And then if you want to check it out in the Q&A box as well to read it over yourself, you're welcome.
Okay, sorry, I don't have access to the Q&A, but yeah, that's a great question. And I think in terms of, and I don't know if they can answer this, but in terms of what your question about reapplying, are you referring to reapplying to community college back here or reapplying to where specifically? Katia, you're muted.
Sorry, I was just going to say, so this person is still here and they want to elaborate on that question and talk to you about it a little more. They're welcome to. I'm going to enable your audio, but everything will still be anonymous. So go ahead. And then just in case, I'll reread the question too. So they're asking, so will it be more difficult to reapply now that they're considered a non-traditional student? I don't know if anyone has any insights on that.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. So I was originally planning on going back and reapplying to maybe MJC, but I've been looking at different community college around the area in the Central Valley.
Yeah, so you're planning to come back from Boston and reapply to a community college here in California? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah. So did you attend Did you attend high school in California?
Yes, I graduated from there.
Okay, so because of that, you will be considered AB540. So if you come back and you apply, all the things that we've discussed about financial aid, specifically for community colleges, would apply to you because you would be an AB540 student.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you for your question. All right. Does anyone else have any other questions? You can also just, if you want to be unmuted and talk to our host, you're definitely welcome to. Just let us know in the Q&A box and I can go ahead and do that. Okay, so someone asked, can this webinar be shared with Northland College in Ashland, Wisconsin, who are accepting any scholarships from any state? Marine Valley Community College in Illinois is finding ways to help DACA students. I'm going to go ahead and unmute this person so that they can share that. Yeah, so go ahead. So for whoever put that in the Q&A box, if you wanted to add anything else to that question, as Yessenia said earlier, this webinar recording will be available on our website at Central Valley Scholars / I think we're still working on the title, but it'll be just like under our resources tab, and it'll be kind of a whole website page that'll have the recording of this webinar, information about our panelists from today, as well as an article that sums up the presentation and includes all of the links that were dropped in the chat and that were used to come up with the resources for all of this for you to look over. And it'll be accessible to everyone, even if you're not from the Valley, although some scholarships that were mentioned, I think, are specific to the Valley, but this information is definitely open to everyone, especially given, you know, the fact that it's not like our workshops, how we used to do, so it's all online now, and definitely open to everyone. All right, any other questions? If anyone would like to be unmuted as well, let us know. We'd love to engage with all of you and make this more interactive.
Yeah, I really hope,
Right, so,
I think, like that this was helpful for you. And if you have other questions that you may maybe not think about right now, but maybe it comes out, you know, when you're actually doing the process, do feel free to reach out to us. I think for myself, you know, as an undocumented student, like there was a lot of obstacles that I had to go through. And, you know, I would just highly encourage you to reach out for help, because I myself didn't know who I could ask for help. But now that I know, you know, more things and that I've experienced, you know, more things as well, I just, you know, hope that, you know, we encourage you to be willing to ask for help. And it can be that, you know, if you don't want to disclose your status, you don't have to. It can be like, hey, you know, I have a friend who's undocumented. Like, can you help this friend out? Like, we don't need to know of your status either. So just making sure that, you know, you are reaching out for help, because, you know, as Diana was mentioning, like we are highly underrepresented in higher education. And we just want to encourage you to, you know, keep doing that. Although we know and understand that college might not be for everyone, we do certainly want it to be an option for all of you.
I would like to second that. Please reach out to these resources. After all, we are paying for them, and we worked really hard to get into college. So by all means, reach out to everyone that you get all of the help that you need. Reach out to all of the institutions on campus, figure out what they can do for you. Go to every office and ask, what can you do for me? What can you provide for me? And see what they offer, so that you can have the best information to make the best informed decisions about your situation. And also, I want to state that the scholarships that I included in the slides, some of them are not specific to Central Valley to the Central Valley only. Students from other states can apply to them, as some of these are open to the nation. So if you would like us to go back to a certain slide so that you can get all of the websites, please let us know, and we're happy to do that. And now this is a document that includes scholarships that undocumented and or DACA students can apply to, and they are separated by the state. So if you scroll down, you can access the scholarships that are open for July, the scholarships that are open for December. So please look at these and apply.
Alrighty, so if there's no more questions or comments that any of our attendees have, and then if there's any closing remarks that you, Yessenia, or Mayra would like to make, feel free to do that. Otherwise, oh, I think we got something in the Q&A box. Okay, so please advise anyone that colleges and universities do not have to require to disclose your citizenship. Most staff is hired by a union, and they tend to follow their own rules. I'll unmute this person again in case they want to speak. I think they already are, but yeah, definitely. Thank you for mentioning that. All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, I think we're good to close. This information will again be up on our website very, very soon, so definitely keep up to date with that. I think the newsletter is the best way to do so, and just continuously checking our website under our resources tab. You'll also see all of our past webinars that are up there, where it's like our law school and grad school, med school webinars. There's a little button beneath all of them that will take you to a page that specifically has all of the resources about that topic in one place. So anything that we create or generate relating to resources for undocumented students will be uploaded there very, very soon. Find and to definitely share with your networks and your communities. But I think if that's all, I think we're good to close here. Thank you again to our hosts and to everyone who attended. Thank you all for your patience and for all of the hard work you put into this. All right, I think we're good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and end the meeting. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.